in the exercise, you probably noticed how difficult it is when you have so many elements to group them or categorize them on a page in order not to get the choice paralysis. They say 3 choices are probably good enough. But anyway, when you looked at the brand elements, for example, like different colors that you had to do, the mission statements, the sliders, the images, the colors, the logos, or there were some commerce that wanted to sell some, they want to give you like what's the special today, or have different taglines to pull you in and call to actions. Or if you have a navigation, you want carousels and the different burger icons or social media. And then at the end, they always need to have sort of the terms and conditions in there. So to break it all down, you need to break it into categories or subcategories in sort of a pull-down menu, for example, in a navigation. And you can sort of guide the user to what you think is the most logical, most popular step for them to go to, like the main part. So 90% of your users will probably go that road. You can hide some of the choices, make some of the decisions for the users so they don't have to. Make it easy for someone to go to the next step by removing boundaries, like guaranteeing them, certifying them that they can get their money back in case they made a wrong choice or so. So they better, like they move on to the shopping cart easier that way. And you can write a better copy and more friendly, have a communication with the user. So if you go through each element that you put on the page, you have to think about, can you remove it? Can you hide it? Can you simplify it? I call this sort of the Marie Kondo way of like, does it make logical sense? Does it make me happy to have this? Or else I can put it in some other place where it's not that obvious. So you have to think, what's the most important, the most pleasurable, the immediate need for that user to come to this page. Then you have to think, when we scan from left to right, that the top, we read so fast and we scan down the bottom. So on the top right, there are elements that probably will get lost, that are sort of second thought, that we don't. Maybe this is a good place to put a piece of a navigation that is a secondary step to go to. And is the space used to what the user wants, or is it just advertisement that is not so useful to a user, maybe actually discouraging them to go forward? So when you look at the 10 points, if you look at the, I think it was 18 points you were supposed to give, Google gives 10 points to the logo and the search bar. And then the rest are little sprinkles around, but the main is still the search. That's their main core value, where Yahoo is the example where they give every single element 1 point. And at this point, I don't know who they are. It doesn't really even look at the brand colors, don't even match each other anymore. So it's very hard to decide, are they a search engine? Are they a news engine? What are they doing? So it's a little bit confusing. When you compare the two together, you can see how much more impactful the Google site is with Yahoo, depending on what you want to try to sell here. I had a client, sorry to say, but this is what it looked before. And he thought he'd be better off going his own way. And he designed it with a sales team that came up with this. So if you compared it to, I think, for me, it's much easier, much more pleasurable to shop the left website than the right website. But you could see how a salesperson would approach a website completely different than content or a user experience designer like myself. In this page from Target, I have so many things that have no hierarchy. Every little element is screaming for my attention, and I'm totally lost what I'm supposed to do next. There's so many call to actions and red buttons or not buttons or just text. It's very confusing and it's frustrating. So this guy wrote a book about, Jamie Mustard. He's on my LinkedIn. We chat every once in a while. He wrote a book about how we are drawn to very strong objects that have an immediate impact, that we love the pyramids, we love the big logos, that Mac icon, and how much stronger it is, how we are drawn to these very heavy impact items. He also has this talking about the jam as an example in a supermarket, when you had 6 choices of jam, the sales actually were higher than a supermarket that had 30 choices of jam, because at this point people were overwhelmed with the choices. They couldn't decide anymore and they just left. So on the bottom here, you can see a very long category list to scroll down. Could be too much to read. You just get, after 5 or 6 options, you just don't have the time to read it all. So maybe you want to break it down into smaller steps and put them in another category by itself. It's kind of similar like Netflix. You have too many equal choices. You're overwhelmed and you're flipping through, not making a decision before you just get tired of it. Or you have too many choices to paint the room a certain color. What you need is reasons to choose that color. So hopefully you understand with this exercise how difficult it is to put all these elements on one page and give the users reasons to choose. If you have too many choices and it takes you too long to decide, you also often have regret. You spend too much time. If you only had 3 choices, you know that A or B were definitely not your choice. You'll probably be happier with the one you choose than if you had 21 choices. You're always going to look back and think, oh, there might have been one better choice that I could have chosen. So ultimately, you end up being less satisfied with your selection. So I hope this wasn't too frustrating, but also a little bit of fun.